doing okay at home. Did you see that bread? I made that bread. But you're going to make that bread too. And you might say, well, Mark, you're a good cook. And yes, sometimes I'm a good cook. But you know what? A 10-year-old could make this bread. And I recommend doing it as a science project with your 10-year-old, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, or 16, because it is a science project where you grow your own yeast using these ingredients. And so you can look the science up, but I think it's a cool thing to do with your family as a science project, because literally all you use is flour, water, salt, and then this is the yeast that you grow. I'm going to show you how that process works. You need a Dutch oven, which you can get from Target or online. This one's $70. There's a cheap one for $40, or there's expensive ones that are $200, but don't get that one unless you have it. And then parchment paper is helpful, but you don't need it because you can do it with a kitchen towel too. You'll just need to clean up the mess after that. So I'm going to lead you through the steps of this. This, I swear, is the best sourdough. I don't think I'll ever buy sourdough if I'm living in a house and can make it myself, because it is easy. The other thing, it takes time, but it takes about 5 days before you can do it, and then you can literally do it every day after that. The first 4 days is like 5 minutes worth of work, and then on the day that you're making it the night before is about 15 minutes of work. And then the total process of cooking it, if you start in the morning, when you turn your oven on, you can eat it an hour and a half later, but it's a lot of sitting around. It's not a lot of work. So if you want to check it out, I think you're going to be able to do it. I think you're going to love it. I think your family's going to love it. So follow along with my steps. Okay, so I'm showing this in the middle of the day because the light is good. This is the sourdough starter. And what does sourdough starter mean? It's water and flour. That's all it is. Water and flour that sits around by itself. It's got to be between 70 and 80 degrees, but literally the first day you put a quarter of a cup of flour and a quarter a cup of water. If you want, on the first day, you can put half of it being wheat and half of it being white. The rest of the days I put it in white. Basically, a quarter of a cup flour, a quarter of a cup water, close the lid, put it away someplace. I had it near a heater in this place that I'm staying. All right. So then the second day, really challenging. You take half of it, you pour it into the sink, half of it, and you put a quarter a cup and a quarter a cup, close it back up. And so you should start to see, maybe not on the second day, but on the third or fourth day, in the middle of the day, you'll see bubbles. At night, they may be calmed down and go down. And what that is that's actually growing yeast. And it smells a little bit odd, but I mean, there's nothing that can happen with it. I read that nothing can happen with it. The crazy thing is that, I'd always heard sourdough starter in this thing. I'm being like, well, what does it actually mean? It's literally just this liquid. Okay, so here we go for the mixing portion of this. You've got your sourdough starter that you've been working on for a couple of days, and you put a quarter a cup of this liquid, and you're going to mix it up with water. And remember, you're not supposed to use a metal spoon when you're doing this. So I have my plastic spoon, or my plastic thing that I used before. A quarter cup of that, 1.5 cups of water. So there's a half cup and a cup, and pour that in there too. And then I do this and mix out the stuff that I had used there before. And then mix those guys up right there. And that's all that is. You're making liquid yeast, I guess. So then I'm going to put in my 3 cups of flour. 1, 2. And a lot of people talk about like exact this and exact that. I'm like a sloppy cook, and sometimes it doesn't work. But in this case, it does. Or it has for me. I pre-measured. This is 2 teaspoons of salt because I used the grinder to get this out. Toss that in there. And then we go ahead and we pour this mix. So you'll notice all we've got is this flour, salt, and this stuff. Pour it in here. And then mix up. You see it? And you go ahead and cover it up with plastic wrap. Works. And you can see that was how quick. That was it for the night before. We're done. Okay, hopefully you'll wake up in the morning to something that looks more or less like this. It definitely rose a whole bunch, so it's ready to start working into the bread. The next thing that you do is you turn your oven on. This guy goes up to 450 degrees, and you're preheating the oven, and they say you should preheat the oven for at least 30 minutes. production video went crazy there, no, but you put your Dutch oven into it. So your Dutch oven is all getting heated up inside there. And now, the other thing that is, I use parchment paper, which I found out after I've been doing this a couple of times, is that it's so much easier. But if you don't have parchment paper, you can use a kitchen towel. You cover the kitchen towel in flour, which uses some more flour, and then it's also way stickier and you have to clean it up. But it works as well, a regular kitchen towel. Okay, so here's the dough jumping part. I get my hands a little bit wet. You're gonna get a little bit sticky, but you just turn it, you put it down, and you pull the dough out like this. Boom. This dough, both of them, you can roll it in your hands and it comes like that. You just pick it up and you stretch it, and pull it, and stretch it. You don't have to do it for more than I'm doing it right now. That's about all that you need. You let these guys sit for the hour that you're doing your minimum 30 minutes. I mean, I've done it at 45 minutes, driving up to 450. But the first time around, I would definitely wait an hour to do it. Okay, so I was so hungry, I'm gonna do this after 45 minutes. Remember to have your oven mitts. Oh, and you know, so this is what it looks like. I'll take the top off. It didn't rise very much today much more, didn't get much bigger, but I don't know if you can see it in the video because I'm on a tripod, but the little guy, he got bigger. And literally all you're gonna do is you're gonna take things off, the thing out with your oven mitts on, and put them really hot, just careful, and top on, let's see that. And then you just take this guy, covered for 20 minutes. Okay, it's been 20 minutes. Let's see how this goes. Gloves on, and let's suck it out. And let's see, take the top off, and see how it looks. Okay, so I'm gonna show it. Okay, so it is pretty light right now. So put it in now. We'll come back when it's finished and you'll see when it's brown. Okay, I took it off the tripod so you can see in here what's going on. Brown, red in there, and not brown, but nice. There we go. And that is all it is. You have sourdough bread. And by the way, that was 15 minutes with the top off, and you get it coming out looking awesome like that and tasting awesome like that. They say to let it cool for an hour. That's a joke. Yeah, I usually leave it 10 minutes. So there you go, bread for you. And there it is, taken out. Just put it taken out of everything. This one's got this strange kind of wave. All hot. That's awesome. Just the last tiny bit of the video. That's the bread I'm going to use to make my sandwich. Look how fantastic that looks. It's awesome. You can do it too.